Lesson 47. Too high a price. In this text, we'll talk about noise pollution. Now, first of all, listen to the text and answer this question. What does the writer describe as an amusing, old-fashioned source of noise? 作者描述的很有意思的老式的噪音源是什么？
Pollution is the price we pay for an overpopulated, over-industrialized planet. When you come to think about it, there are only 4 ways you can deal with rubbish. Dump it, burn it, turn it into something you can use again, attempt to produce less of it. We keep trying all 4 methods, but the sheer volume of rubbish we produce worldwide threatens to overwhelm us. Rubbish, however, is only part of the problem of polluting our planet. The need to produce ever-increasing quantities of cheap food leads to a different kind of pollution. Industrialized farming methods produce cheap meat products, beef, pork, and chicken. The use of pesticides and fertilizers produces cheap grain and vegetables. The price we pay for cheap food may be already too high. Mad cow disease, BSE, in cattle, salmonella in chicken and eggs, and listeria in dairy products. And if you think you'll abandon meat and become a vegetarian, you have the choice of very expensive organically grown vegetables, or a steady diet of pesticides every time you think you're eating fresh salads and vegetables, or just having an innocent glass of water. However, there is an even more insidious kind of pollution that particularly affects urban areas and invades our daily lives, and that is noise. Burglar alarms going off at any time of the day or night serve only to annoy passers-by and actually assist burglars to burgle. Car alarms constantly scream at us in the street and are a source of profound irritation. A recent survey of the effects of noise revealed, surprisingly, that dogs barking incessantly in the night rated the highest form of noise pollution on a scale ranging from 1 to 7. The survey revealed a large number of sources of noise that we really dislike. Lawnmowers whining on a summer's day, late-night parties in apartment blocks, noisy neighbors, vehicles of all kinds, especially large container trucks thundering through quiet villages, planes and helicopters flying overhead, large radios carried round in public places and played at maximum volume. New technology has also made its own contribution to noise. A lot of people object to mobile phones, especially when they are used in public places like restaurants or on public transport. Loud conversations on mobile phones invade our thoughts or interrupt the pleasure of meeting friends for a quiet chat. The Noise Pollution Survey revealed a rather surprising and possibly amusing old-fashioned source of noise. It turned out to be snoring. Men were found to be the worst offenders. It was revealed that 20% of men in their mid-30s snore. This figure rises to a staggering 60% of men in their 60s. Against these figures, it was found that only 5% of women snore regularly, while the rest are constantly woken or kept awake by their trumpeting partners. Whatever the source of noise, one thing is certain. Silence, it seems, has become a golden memory.
So what does the writer describe as a surprising and amusing old-fashioned source of noise? Right, it referred to snoring. Why was it described as old-fashioned source of noise? Well, the other sources are all caused by new technology, so in comparison, snoring is old-fashioned. The title of this text is Too High a Price. What does the price refer to? Well, according to the text, price refers to pollution. The text goes like this. Pollution is the price we pay for an overpopulated, over-industrialized planet. The text focuses not only on noise pollution, but on rubbish and food pollution as well, which are dealt with in the first and second paragraph. Right, now let's look at some language points. Pollution is the price we pay for an overpopulated, over-industrialized planet. Both these adjectives are with the prefix over, which means excessive or too much. I'll give you more examples with this prefix. The elevator was overloaded. 电梯超载. If you often overeat, you are likely to become overweight. 你如果经常吃得过多的话，就会发胖。Other examples include overcharge, which means charge too high a price, or overstaffed, which means an organization or a company having too many staff to work efficiently. When you come to think about it, come to think about something or come to think of it means if you really think about it, you'll realize something. Turn it into something you can use again. Turn into means make it become something else. Look at these examples. The witch cast a spell on the prince and turned him into a frog. 女巫念了一个咒语，于是把王子变成了青蛙。The leaves fell and summer turned into autumn. 叶子落了，天气由夏天转为秋天。The sheer volume of rubbish. Sheer means complete. It's often used to emphasize. For example, sheer happiness or sheer stupidity. His suggestion was sheer nonsense, which means his suggestion was absolute nonsense. It was because of sheer luck that he succeeded. It means only because of luck that he succeeded. The sheer size of the country makes communication difficult, which means not to mention anything else, only the size can be the biggest problem. The sheer volume. Volume here means amount. Volume has a lot of meanings. Let's look at these examples. The volume of traffic in Beijing has increased dramatically in recent years. The volume of traffic means the amount of traffic. 交通的流量. Large radios carried round in public places and played at maximum volume. So this is also a sentence in the text, but here volume means sound, 最大的音量. Look at one more example. Can you please turn the volume down a little bit? 能不能把音量开得低一点? The sheer volume of rubbish threatens to overwhelm us. Overwhelm means makes it difficult or impossible to deal with. For example, years of war and natural disasters had overwhelmed the country's economy. 多年的战争和自然灾害使得这个国家的经济难以维持。Government troops overwhelmed the rebels. Overwhelm here means defeat. They were overwhelmed with or by grief when their baby died. Be overwhelmed with or by certain kind of emotion means you feel that emotion very strongly. The need to produce ever-increasing quantities of cheap food. Ever-increasing means constantly increasing. Look at this example. The ever-increasing demand for private cars can be halted by more investment in public transport. 对私车不断增长的需求，可以通过对公交的投资来加以控制。Manchester United's record grows ever more impressive. 曼联队的记录越来越好。So ever can also be followed with a comparative degree, indicating the change. If you think you'll abandon meat and become a vegetarian, abandon means give up or desert. For example, the child was abandoned by the parents. Or, most of the population had abandoned the city after the earthquake. So here you abandon the person, here you abandon the place, means leaving the place. The match was abandoned because of the poor weather conditions. Here it means the match was cancelled. You have the choice of very expensive organically grown vegetables or a steady diet of pesticides. Have the choice of A or B means you can choose either A or B. For example, if the product doesn't work, you are given the choice of a refund or a replacement. 可以退或者换。We know innocent can mean childish or guiltless, but here, an innocent glass of water, innocent means harmless. Look at this example. Innocent substances were mistaken for illegal drugs sometimes. Innocent substances, 无害的东西。There is an even more insidious kind of pollution. Insidious means harmful, especially gradually or secretly harmful. For example, alcohol abuse is a more insidious problem than drug abuse because alcohol is almost universal. 酗酒可能比吸毒还要危险，因为酒精可以到处都找到。The kind of pollution that particularly affects urban areas. Affect means lead to certain kind of reaction. For example, how do you think the change will affect you? 这个变化会如何影响你？ We know that influence means roughly the same, but the two verbs are still different. Affect indicates a kind of definite reaction, while influence stresses more profound change. For example, the team's performance was affected by the rain. 因为下雨，这个队的竞技状态受到了影响。But influence indicates deeper change. For example, he was very much influenced by Darwin when he was young. 他年轻的时候受到达尔文的深刻影响。And invades our daily lives. The original meaning of invade is, for example, Hitler invaded Poland in 1939, 入侵. But invade can also be used figuratively, which means to disrupt. Invade our daily lives means our daily lives are disrupted. Or look at this example. Famous people often find their privacy invaded by the press. 隐私受到了新闻界的侵犯。Are a source of profound irritation. Profound means deep or very strong. For example, profound effect or profound change means thorough or deep change. The parent's behavior has a profound impact on a growing child. 父母的举止对一个正在成长的孩子有深刻的影响。My grandfather has a profound mistrust of anything new. 对任何新事物都有着深刻的怀疑。He is said to be a profound thinker. A profound thinker is a person who can think very deeply. rated the highest form of noise pollution on a scale ranging from 1 to 7. Rate means judge or evaluate. For example, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd rate his book a 5. 如果给我一个由1到10的刻度的话，我会把他的书排在第5。He is currently rated the world's #1 athlete. 他现在被认为是世界第1号运动员。That rates as the worst film I've ever seen. That can be judged as the worst film. Men were found to be the worst offenders. The original meaning of offender is criminal, but it can also mean the cause of something. Here it refers to those people who snored. Look at these examples. Young offenders are sent to this institution instead of prison. 少年犯会被送到这个机构来，而不是送进监狱。Among causes of air pollution, car exhaust fumes may be the worst offender. Here, offender means the worst cause of air pollution. Against these figures, against here means in comparison with. I'll give you more examples. Against his $40,000, his wife earns $80,000 a year. Or, she went through the contents of the box against the list. 拿着这个清单来检查盒子里的物品。It seems silence has become a golden memory. Golden memory refers to a glorious, precious past. I'll give you more examples of golden. She was an actress from the golden age of the cinema. Means the most glorious age, time of films. Don't turn it down, it's a golden opportunity, meaning a precious opportunity. The golden days of our youth means the memorable days of our youth. How should we talk about a list of things in the same category? Now finally, let's look at what this text does in this point. Industrialized farming methods produce cheap meat products. Colon, beef, pork, and chicken. 用冒号来列举. The price we pay may be already too high. Colon, mad cow disease, etc. So we can use colon and comma to make a list of things. The survey revealed a large number of sources of noise that we really dislike. Lawnmowers whining, trucks thundering, planes and helicopters flying, large radios carried round and played at maximum volume. So all of these actually are a large number of sources of noise, but the list is too long to be put into the same sentence with the previous one. So it's actually composed of phrases. It's not a complete sentence. After we make the list, we usually need to emphasize a particular item. 在列举之后呢，我们通常需要强调其中重要的一项。Let's look at what the text does. There is an even more insidious kind of pollution, and that is noise. So you can actually repeat and then emphasize. The noise pollution survey revealed a rather surprising and possibly amusing old-fashioned source of noise. It turned out to be snoring. So using it turned out to be to emphasize how surprising this discovery is. At the same time, it also emphasizes. The topic of this text, environmental pollution, has already become a very serious problem nowadays, not only in China, but all over the world. We have heard about different kinds of pollution. For example, air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, or pollution resulted from traffic or factory manufacturing, different kinds. And we have heard about such term as smog, which is smoke and fog, or the greenhouse effect, 就是温室效应. Well, the reason is we have a growing population, but the natural resources are not inexhaustible and not renewable. 自然资源呢，并不是取之不尽、用之不竭的。What should we do in face of such a problem? Some people suggest that we should use alternative natural resources or alternative energies, such as energies generated from the sun or the heat of the earth or from the sea. Is there anything that we can do as individuals? In the Western countries, some people suggest that we should stop driving our own cars. Instead, we should use public transport. And at least there is one thing we can do, which is to recycle garbage. 一件小事情我们都可以做，就是把垃圾分类，这样可以再利用有些资源。All right, so much on the topic of environmental pollution and environmental protection. I'll see you next time.